Hey Jennifer, how you doing? I'm just looking here. Okay, so decided to do simple line drawings. My still be a few eyes created my areas of improvement. I will be adding color. Okay, I'm still undecided as to how I will connect each drawing. Okay, all right, good. Because I was going to address that, and then I thought I'd come back and take a look before I started talking about things like that. Yes, absolutely. This is begging for color, and honestly, well, let's go to the PDF, and I'll just start my critique here and my comments. Okay, so try to get this in. I'm going to have to reduce the size a little bit, but that's okay because by reducing the size, we can see that these are tiny little illustrations. And I think that we could more expeditiously use the picture plane of the entire page to increase the size of the individual illustrations. Okay, the green you said you're going to address this a way to connect so the viewer knows which direction to go. Right now, we're not there, of course, because we've got frame 1, 2, and 3. Okay, the viewer at this point doesn't know whether to go down this way or back over as if we're reading. So that could be a point of confusion. And as we know, viewers, we don't want to confuse viewers. If we confuse our viewers, it's very likely they're going to look away and um, not complete looking at the narrative. So we want to avoid that by giving them a very clear path through the narrative. I'm not sold on this kind of linear, okay, here's frame 1, 2, 3, then presumably 4, 5, 6. I'd like to see, we've seen that kind of circular orientation. We've seen other configurations that might be a little more interesting than your basic, okay, frame 1, frame 2, frame 3. Do you see what I'm saying? The illustrations themselves, they're fantastic. They really are. This, as I said before, this is begging, just begging for color. And not a little color, not just a mouse, but his trousers, his belt. You got this beautiful color in the watch, and let's carry that through, to other areas of the illustration. I think that'll provide some fantastic visual interest. I think at this point, right, okay, that snaps. Can we get it closer in that, like a really close up of that belt snapping? Because that really sets up the rest of the narrative. Also, this frame right here, I don't know, how can we somehow, I know he's trying to hold his pants up, but I'm very familiar with the narrative. So, I just think that in this frame right here, we got to show his pants like down around his ankles. Like it's very obvious that his pants are not staying up. Okay, this frame here, I think that the mouse himself should be a little bigger. In this composition right here, the mouth should be bigger and the little bubble should be pointing to a smaller. So it's very clear that that's a thought, that he had seen a mouse in his travails earlier that day or whatever the case is, right? And then I mentioned this earlier. It's so important to take this illustration of the leaves, the foliage here, and the grass, and use the exact same. I think this is a more accurate, a successful illustration than this one because it's got a little more dimension, it's got a little more depth, it's got a little more movement. So I would use that and use the same illustration so that we know that mouse is back to the area, exact same area where he envisioned or where he remembered seeing that watch laying in the brush, right? So that's got to be identical. And then the rest, I think, is pretty much self-explanatory. I think that, yeah, here he's cruising, proudly swinging his arms with his new belt, right? Here he's looking at his belt and everything all looks well. I'm wondering if in this particular frame here, we can have him looking down. So we can see him looking at his belt instead of looking at himself. I think it will draw a logical connection. Again, I just think that if we zoom out a little bit, we can see that a lot of the images, a lot of the illustrations are losing detail. For that reason, yes, I do recommend, creating using more of the picture plane itself to create larger illustrations so that they don't all kind of like appear to be forced in the middle of the page. I hope that makes sense. All right, I'm dying to see some color here and just to really see your final touches, as well as your whatever way that you decide to connect these in a way that is logical. And even if you do decide to go online, it's interesting to go from here down to here, then over to here, okay, and instead of going like we're reading a book, left to right, top to bottom. Hope that makes sense. A lot of really cool configurations with images just kind of flowing like an organic sort of line, maybe clockwise to the last frame in the middle. Things like that. You've seen them all, right? You've been through the discussion board. You've seen a lot of different ideas. So keep working, Jennifer. You're very, very close. Great job. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.